see how excited I am to have so many ladies so keen to get connected to their vagina. Great. I looked about a week ago and I saw it was already, both classes already full, and I'm like, yes, this is going to be a fun weekend.
I think everyone might be.
Yay! Round of applause for all the ladies for being here. Thank you so much. I know when it comes to sexuality, it can bring up a bit of so thank you for all being brave enough to come into this room and explore with me. So I'm Tamra Mercieca. I'm a relationship and self-love therapist in that I help people develop relationship with self. And yoga for the vagina is one of the most loving and nurturing practices a woman can do for herself. I'm also the author of 2 books, and I run a school called Getting Naked, where we strip back the layers mentally as opposed to physically, so then that you can have much more happiness, much more love, and much more pleasure in your life. And that will be the essence of today's class. So I'm going to start, maybe spend about the first 20 minutes just explaining what yoga for the vagina actually is, so you have a bit of an idea on why I'm taking you through the exercises that I'm taking you through. And then we'll go into a practice. Does that feel good for everyone?
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. Cool. So there's a lot of awareness about the need for us to exercise our bodies, hence why we see so many people doing yoga, all sorts of different sporting activities, going to the gym. Yet there's very little awareness about the need for us to have a really fit vagina. You know, not many people have an exercise regime specifically for the vagina, an exercise regime designed to keep their sexual organs tight and resilient well into old age. We all know the side effects of not brushing our teeth, yeah? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Abandon the toothbrush long enough and your teeth will rot and they will eventually fall out. The same goes for a woman's sexual organs. Autopsies done on nuns actually showed their sexual organs were completely rotted out due to non-use. And this is actually really common. 44% of women will experience some form of prolapsed sexual organ in their lifetime. 1 in 3 women will need a hysterectomy by the time they're 60. Now, I don't know about you ladies, but I want to hold on to my womanly parts, yeah? Are we in agreement there?
Yeah.
Yes. A woman's body is designed to stay fertile right up until she goes through menopause. Yet 12% of women are deemed infertile. 1 in 3 women over 35 are unable to conceive. The stats really are shocking, and it does get a whole lot worse than that. Every 10 hours in Australia, a woman dies of ovarian cancer. 1 in 70 women will get ovarian cancer, with 20% of those women surviving beyond 5 years. And then there's cervical cancer, that affects 1 in 155 ladies. Now the reason that I share this with you is because we can actually take precautionary measures to look after our sexual organs and to heal any degeneration that's already happened, because there is nothing worse than being diagnosed with a life-threatening illness and then working out, what am I going to do now? And I was put in this situation when I was 31. So I returned an abnormal pap smear result and I was diagnosed as being the stage before cancer. Now, because I was such a high-risk case, the gynecologist wanted to rush me into surgery and perform an operation that could have left me unable to conceive. Now, personally, I prefer to take a much more natural approach to my healing, so I said no. And so what I did was I did a lot of mental reprogramming, which is the core of the work that I do, because when we have a thought, it triggers a chemical response in the body. Now, if that thought is positive, it guides the body to be healthy. Yet if that thought is negative, it actually sickens the body. So when we get sick, it's our body screaming out for attention, going, hey, I've got some negative thinking patterns that you need to look into, right? But most people these days, they slap a Band-Aid on it and they take some medication and they don't actually feel into what the illness is about. So I decided to feel into that illness and clear those gunky thinking patterns. So that was a big part of my recovery. And I also used a vaginal health tool called a jade egg. And when I returned to the doctor about 3 or 4 months later, I was was given a clean bill of health, the doctor claiming it had been a miracle. Now, we are all capable of achieving and experiencing these sorts of miracles if we have the right tools and techniques at our disposal. So this is where I introduce the glorious jade egg. It's been around for some 5,000 years. Queens and concubines in ancient China would use it internally to keep their sexual organs tight and resilient, to help give them an internal uplift effect. So yes, using the jade egg gives you a natural facelift, ladies. And also to deliver the emperor immense pleasure in the bedchamber. So it's got holes in the top, and I will pass it around so that you can have a look. And essentially you coat it with unwaxed dental floss. And once you have that there, then you train the vagina to sip it inside. Now, a lot of women have lost the ability to sip things inside them because we're so used to having things pushed in there, like fingers and tampons and dildos and penises. And so those muscles, they atrophy, right? Yet you can actually use the jade egg to retrain those muscles so that they reactivate so you can sip things in. And once the egg is inside, then you do very specific yoga for the vagina exercises with it that help bring fresh blood to the area, that help tone the area, that help strengthen the pelvic floor, that help heal the sicknesses that I was mentioning before, but also draw out trauma. Because most women have experienced some form of vaginal trauma. Maybe you've experienced some sort of abuse, maybe it's been an abortion or a miscarriage or a really painful labour. Maybe you've had a lot of friction sex. We live in a world where hard and fast is the way that we do sex. Yet hard pounding with a cock, it actually desensitizes you. If I say cock, people laugh.
It's not him that.
Cock, cock, cock. So it works every time we pull it out around. So yeah, pounding with a cock, it desensitizes the vaginal canal, and the same with vibrators. You do run the risk of desensitizing the special bits if you do use vibrators a lot. So that's just something to keep in mind, and that is why, women who do use vibrators quite substantially, they will have trouble reaching orgasm then with their partner. So however you got this trauma in your vagina, it can play out in all sorts of different ways. For some people, they will be quite numb, they'll be desensitized and they won't feel a lot. Other women will experience pain during sex, some it will bring a lot of emotion up for them, and some women will be diagnosed with all sorts of illnesses. Thrush, incontinence. Incontinence, that affects 60% of women post-birth. Because when you go through a labour, a lot of things are being stretched and you can lose your vaginal elasticity, you can lose your libido, you can suffer damaged nerve endings and incontinence, yet using the jade egg just a few times a week, and those things start to heal naturally on their own. Now, what's really great with the jade egg also is if you have trouble lubricating in order to have sex, it's because there's glands that run along the vaginal canal that aren't working properly, and the jade egg actually massages those glands to help them work properly. Really great for women going through menopause. Some even say it helps get rid of their grey hair. Yay! But something I do want to touch on while we're talking about getting juicy is that if you're not gushing wet, is this another keyword? Juicy, cock, juicy. Okay, gushing. Oh, I love this. If you're not gushing wet, if you're not begging to be entered, then you're not ready. And you need to work out what's going to get you there so then that you can enjoy that sexual experience, because we know a man is ready by how rock hard his pulsating erection is. But for a woman, her barometer to her arousal is how wet she is. So you really want to use those signals to know where your partner is at and where you're at, otherwise you do run the risk of creating more vaginal scarring. So you can start to see that, the jade egg is pretty amazing for all different sorts of health reasons. Why can't we just do Kegels? I often get asked this. Now, if you know what Kegels are, it's essentially squeezing of the vagina. New mums often get prescribed to do something like 300 morning and night, which can be quite tedious. But the big issue with Kegels is that there's no resistance. And what I mean by that is if you would go to the gym and you wanted to build your bicep, just doing this is not actually going to do much. It'll keep it mobile, but it's not going to get as strong. In order to build strength there, you need to lift weight, and that's what's going to create that muscle tone. And that's the same with our vagina. We need that resistance. So when you have that jade egg inside of you, that creates the resistance to build that muscle tone. Now, while we certainly do want weight, we don't need to go overboard, ladies. Has anyone heard of vaginal weightlifting? So there's a Russian woman who holds the world record for vaginal weightlifting. Yes. Does anybody want to have a guess at how much this woman can lift with her vagina? Kilos. And whoever gets it will get a copy of my book, Getting Naked. More than 10.
6 kilos.
Less than 33.
22.
Less than 20.
17.
Did someone say 14?
14.
Yeah. 40 kilos. It's a pretty strong vagina, ladies. Using a jade egg and touching weight is how. We can take all things to the extremes, but that doesn't necessarily get us results. Too much weight and you actually run the risk of vaginal scarring, and that can inhibit orgasm. So it's all in moderation, ladies. We don't need to lift anything more than our jade egg. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, just in case you go Googling jade egg and start finding all these weightlifting bits and pieces. Okay? Yeah. So, there are lots of great health benefits of using the jade egg internally. There's also lots of pleasure benefits. So to describe my experience, that's probably the best way to go there. Before I started using the jade egg, when my partner was inside of me, I wouldn't actually know that he'd come unless I saw his facial expression. So, I could feel it was there, but that was about it. After using the jade egg, I feel every quiver, every pulse, every subtle sensation of his climatic build. So I am fully there with him. And because my vagina is so sensitive now, which is what you're after, sensitivity, then G-spot and cervical orgasms are available to me because those areas are awake. And those of you not familiar with G-spot orgasms, that's where you're going to have those multiple orgasms, much deeper, much more emotional, much more fuller. The cervical orgasms, that's what's going to open you up to having those full body orgasms that most people describe as a spiritual experience. Now, just as we can increase our sensitivity, so too can we build dexterity. So if you have a look at your index finger, so the one next to your thumb, you'll notice that there's 3 sections. Now we can divide our vagina up into not just 3 sections, but right and left, front and back of each of those sections, essentially dividing our vagina into 12 different quadrants. And we can learn how to contract and release those quadrants independent of each other, essentially giving us the ability to play rhythms on our partner's penis. So if you imagine, he's inside of you, neither of you are moving, and you're quite literally massaging him into arousal. That is what is possible when you have a very sensitive and dexterous vagina. You're like, give it to me! Okay. So let's actually have a chat about the actual practice itself, yeah? So there are hundreds of different yoga for the vagina exercises you can do. Most of them are based around the premise that you're using the pubococcygeal muscle, the PC muscle. So the muscle that you squeeze to stop yourself from urinating when you can't find a toilet. And the idea is that you breathe in for 4 slow counts, and as you do, you squeeze the vagina to cuddle the egg. And then as you relax, you exhale, letting your vagina melt open. Pretty simple. When I say to squeeze, we've got to remember it's a very gentle squeeze. We are not trying to crack a nut in there. And the relax, that's even more important than the squeeze, because being able to relax, open your vagina, being able to release tension, that is what's going to open you up to experiencing those much deeper orgasmic experiences. And that's why in my 20s I started experiencing orgasms on the massage table, because I was in such a relaxed, surrendered state. The energy started moving around by itself. So less really is more when it comes to expanding your pleasure. And you want to be expanding your pleasure not just because it feels good, but because a body in pure pleasure cannot harbour any form of illness or disease. So, we're not going to use a JD today, because that would require all of you to get your pants off. I'm not quite sure if you're ready to get that into it yet. Yeah. It would also require you to all have a JD, and I prefer to give you an experience of what the class is like, and then if you resonate with it, by all means please get a JD. I do have them available on my website if you do want one. So, while we do this practice, you're still going to get benefits without the JD, but that will grow exponentially when you do have the JD, because of the resistance and also because of the healing benefits as well. So, I'm just going to invite everyone to stand up. If you are wearing a bra, I'm going to invite you to take it off. And the reason for this is, everyone's got sports bras on, they're a little bit more difficult, aren't they? It's totally up to you, but you're going to be able to connect more easily with your breasts, and we will be starting with a bit of a breast massage. Also, when you wear a bra, it actually cuts off the blood circulation. It stops the lymphatic system working properly, meaning that toxins are being marinated in your breast tissue. Hence why one study showed that women who wear bras have a 125 times greater chance of getting breast cancer. Alright, now we've got our boobies out. Thanks, ladies. We're going to shake the body. Shake, shake, shake. Might feel a little bit different to how you normally shake. So we really want to shake up the body, because when we shake the body, it gets the lymphatic system working. And we want the lymphatic system working, because that's what transports toxins out of the body. So we're just going to shake, 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 shake that body up. And then we're going to do some big hip swivel,s okay? Now the bigger the better with this, and we really want to go slow. If you spend just an hour every day sitting, chances are you're going to have a tight groin. And if you've got a tight groin, then you're not going to be able to move energy beyond the genital region. So this is a really good exercise in helping to iron that out and go back the other way. And I encourage you, after this class, spend 10-15 minutes a day just doing this. You'll start to be much more connected with your body. And we might want to do some figure eights. And I'm just going to booty shake. Just because I like getting people to booty shake. And booty shake to your neighbour. And to the other neighbour. And maybe the person behind you. And the person in front of you. And now we're going to come down onto our mat. So this is the base position. You might need to stand up to have a bit of a look. You're just lying like this. Wherever you want to place your hands is fine. So knees pointed towards the roof, feet flat on the floor. And this is the base position that we're going to start with.